So what can India do now? First and foremost, we need a massive nationwide campaign like never before. All TV channels, in any case, they are not getting ads. In any case, their people are not coming to the studios. Must have only one thing on, that this disease is affecting those with existing conditions and the elderly. 99% of the people who died in Italy are those with existing conditions. And it's simple. We need to segregate them. We need to separate them and put them under lockdown. Those with existing conditions and those with existing diseases and the elderly. They are the ones whom we need to lock down. We need to avoid going to them, touching them, but we need to take care of them. In lower middle class, and richer families, there's a possibility that there is a second bedroom where they could be put and we could take great care of them. But in poorer localities, that's not a possibility. But thankfully, we have some schools around, and those schools should be converted into isolation centers for those who are highest at risk. They should be taken there and they should be locked down there. Great food should be provided to them. They should not have any kind of inconvenience, but absolutely sanitized environment. We need to shift them. We need to create emergency medical facilities in stadiums, in schools, in playgrounds, wherever possible, in every district, if required, in every locality in big cities, where we can take care of those who actually get affected and the people whom they have come in touch with, to quarantine them. And we need to realize that between 0 to 9 years of age, the percentage of people dying is 0%. Between 9 to 39, the percentage of people dying is 0.2%. Between 39 to 49, the percentage of people dying is 0.4%. The percentage really goes up after 49. And 85% of the people affected probably don't even properly come to know, and they're getting mild symptoms. So if we are able to lock down those who can possibly die, those who are at highest risk, and let the rest of the economy function, me, you, most of the younger people, I'm not that young, I'm actually perhaps reaching the high risk category soon, but most people below 50, 55, we are not at risk. Definitely below 50, we are at much less risk if we don't have health conditions. And if we can lock down those at high risk and let others continue the economic activity in our country, we will probably be better off. Because even if we get it, the symptoms probably will be mild and it's not going to affect us. We are going to recover. All we need to do is make sure that we don't pass it on to the elderly and to those in the highest risk category of being affected and thereby dying. Those are the people we need to protect. We don't need to protect the school kids. Sweden has let schools remain open, because if the kids are at home, there's a greater chance that they're going to disturb their grandparents. They're going to touch their grandparents and maybe pass on some kind of virus. If the schools are open, then parents can't go to work. Medical doctors, nurses can't go to work. They need to be at home taking care of the kids. So Sweden has kept the schools open so that doctors, nurses, others can keep going. In fact, they have no lockdown. Of course, there's another way of dealing with it, and that is the next thing that we have to try and do. We have to try to either adopt the South Korean possibility or the Japanese possibility. What South Korea and Germany have done is mind-blowing. It's unimaginable. They have tried to reach out to maximum number of people and do testing and catch people at the early stage so that they don't enter the latter stages at all. In India, as I speak today, the figures are just 35,000 tests conducted all over the country. In Germany, every day they are conducting 20,000 more tests. In South Korea, they conducted 5,200 tests per million, which converted to India, we should have by now done 80 lakh tests. We have done 35,000 tests. That's how poorly prepared we are. So either we can increase the number of tests per million, or we go the Japanese way. The Japanese way is simple. Please don't come to any doctor till you have at least 4 days of fever. It's very simple. You are not allowed to go to doctors till you have 4 days of fever. And the entire focus is on the elderly and people with existing diseases. That's how we need to do. Because India, the medical infrastructure is poor. And therefore, I understand the need for a lockdown to try and see to it the spread is not very fast. We have done the lockdown. Now what we need to do is create emergency medicine. We need to have the army out. Emergency medical facilities all over the country. Truthfully speaking, I still hope we don't require any of this. Truthfully speaking, somewhere inside me, I believe that in India, the virus may not be that effective. Because of heat, humidity, there is no research yet, but past researchers do show that heat and humidity affects the spread of viruses. And I have a feeling that is the reason probably why Africa hasn't yet been affected that highly, despite Africa being almost a Chinese territory. And the amount of Chinese who are there doing to and fro, and if they have not yet been affected that much, there is a possibility that India doesn't get affected. But we cannot rely on unresearched probabilities. And therefore, we need to be prepared. What else do we need to do? We need to make people understand that a virus typically will infect everybody. And the only way to protect yourself from a virus is a vaccine. And this vaccine might take anything between 12 months to 18 months to 24 months to be available for all. And this 12 to 24 months is going to be a tough period for the elderly and those with existing problems, existing health conditions. They might need to be under self-quarantine. They might need to be in isolation, but that's important for their life and safety. The moment we get the vaccination and they are vaccinated, they can be back and out and working. We need to make people understand. I do hope that unlike in the case of flu, because flu eventually has only about 0.1% deaths, and although it kills about 500,000 people every year, 500,000 people every year, about 2,000 deaths a day, and corona is still killing just about 2,000, 2,500 people a day. Of course, it's expected to increase. Today, Trump has said that if they can keep the death below 1 lakh in the US, they will be very lucky. So I do understand that this death rate per day is going to increase, but flu, normal flu kills 2,000 a day. Till about 2 days back, corona wasn't killing 2,000 a day. It affects 5 million every year, normal flu. We don't take vaccination. Most of us don't take vaccination because we don't consider it risky because it's got only 0.1% death rate. And imagine, what does that mean? How many people actually get normal flu every year? Now, what I really hope at the end of all this is that we will get serious about taking the annual vaccines, because every year corona will come back probably with a newer strain, a newer mutated version, and which would mean every year a new vaccine would need to be developed, and we need to take vaccines to protect ourselves, a combined vaccine maybe against corona, flu, and many other problems and issues. But we are finally going to become a world which takes vaccines seriously, and we're finally going to become a world which is more careful about sanitizing their hands, especially before touching our face, nose, ear, eyes. And we are going to be a world which is more careful about, going out when we have a flu, cold, spreading it to others. We will learn newer ways of sneezing. We will perhaps be using much more of masks. And medically, I hope we are going to be far better prepared as time comes. But till then, I think these are the key things India needs to do. India needs to start emergency health facilities. India needs to isolate the people at highest risk. And India needs to tell the rest that, look, the death rate is about 0.2% for all of you, which is just about the same that flu has. So don't worry, go out. If you get it, you'll get okay on its own. If you don't get okay on its own, after the 4th day, come to doctors. Don't stress the medical facilities. And that is the key thing. The key thing is to make sure that we have sanitizers and soaps available in the market. The key thing is to make sure that in the slums, in the places where one room accommodates 5, 6, 7 people, we have the highest focus in terms of awareness. And finally, what the government must do is make sure that the 15 lakh that was promised into every account, slowly and steadily, it actually starts getting into every account of the poor in India directly every month. And it makes sure that if not 5,000 per head, at least 1,000 rupees per head per family goes into each account of the poorer families. And there is absolutely no food riot or food crisis. And this is what we need to do. If we can do these things, then we might set an example for the entire world to follow. We might have done something that nobody else could. And we might show that it's not just Germany and South Korea which can have a death rate of less than 1% from corona, but we could also achieve despite poorer medical facilities, just by reinventing the strategy and not copying what everybody else has been doing.